This is Zachary Goodwin. He's our lead structural engineer and over our structural design team. So let's talk about, kind of your career path. You have done well in structural engineering, and when did you decide you wanted to get into it? What kind of led into that?
Well, as a kid, my dad, he was a civil engineer, did a lot of structural stuff as well.
Is he still a civil engineer?
He is.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wondering.
Yeah. So just going out on job sites with him, we go do home inspections together when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Just holding the tape measure and kind of helping him wherever I could. Saturday morning we go pick up breakfast and go head out and do inspections together. So that's kind of what started, just kind of, building that relationship and, those memories with my father. And then, so in college, after my freshman year, I had an internship that I had done the previous year. They called me the day before I was supposed to start back that summer and said they lost their biggest client, so they couldn't bring on an intern that summer. So lo and behold, with my dad, with his connections, I just got a meeting with a firm that is looking for an intern this summer. So we got connected that way, and this was a water wastewater firm.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did more on the water wastewater side for the first couple summers, and then they had me review.
Now, were you doing structural on the water wastewater
No,
side
I'm
or just water
more
wastewater?
water wastewater.
So
Yeah,
process.
and civil as well, civil site
Cool.
as well. And then one summer
I didn't
we,
know this. Did you know this?
I did. I'm full of it.
God dang it. Why nobody tells me? I never know what y'all are doing around here.
Secrets. We keep secrets
Go
here.
ahead. Sorry.
But
Don't interrupt like that.
one summer they had me review sewer rehab videos. So I was watching sewer videos all
That's
summer.
interesting.
That was kind of all right. I'm going to do getting something a little bit different. So
Yeah.
not having to watch cockroaches and whatever else is down there.
It's amazing how
right?
big they get, isn't it?
It's crazy. You see some weird stuff. in those
Dude,
videos.
I've been down in some holes with, grinders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And seen cockroaches that would carry you off.
Yeah.
Anyways, go ahead, man.
But so that's when I started structural. I just thought that'd be kind of a good variety. I actually did structural and environmental were my two focuses in college because I had a good feeling I was going to get into the water wastewater side.
Right.
And I actually, when I was hired as a conveyance engineer and a structural engineer, but the structural department kind of snagged me within 6 months, and I kind of went more full time on that route. So it was kind of went full structural was by necessity.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it all started from there.
Very
Hey,
cool.
hey, Zach, and just for everyone's benefit, will you mention where you went to school? We didn't address that and highlight that.
Yeah, that is an important fact.
University of Tennessee, only
That
place
baby.
I ever wanted to go. It's the only place I applied to.
Did your dad go there?
I went to Tech.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So UT, and then from there you went to work for the same firm that you interned with for a long time.
Yep.
And worked your way up. I mean, you were the state design lead for them.
Mhm.
You've worked on $150 million wastewater plant projects, even bigger.
I mean, before I left, we were doing one that was closer to $500 million. And then we had just won a job that was potentially up closer to the $1 billion mark for construction costs.
Wow. That's awesome, man. And so, after you were there for, 9-10 years, right?
Yeah,
After college?
started there as an intern at 19, so intern every summer, and then started full time after I graduated. So February 2017 is when I started full time. So I was there for just a little about 8.5 years.
Yeah, and you speak really highly of that experience, man. And obviously it's turned you into an awesome engineer. Clayton does not think so. But I do. I think the world of you,
I
man.
appreciate that.
And then, I think it's been, man, almost a year this spring when you and I met.
Yep.
And really, my recollection on it was, we were kind of introduced, and really it was just kind of a, hey, will you go have lunch with me and this young guy named Zach, who spells his name with an H, not a K.
That's right.
And just talk with him a little bit.
Yeah. The guy who introduced us, he's a Zach with a K.
Yeah.
So I think first text Josh sent to me, and Zach was telling me that I spelled it the right way. So
that I did. I did do that, and that's a hell of a memory, isn't it?
That's impressive.
Hopefully, you don't remember other stuff I've done negatively, all positive. But we sat down, we had lunch at Wild Ginger.
Yep.
It was lovely. had some sushi, had some good discussions. We talked about personality profiles and which you've learned a lot more about now. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to send you some of these profiles now. I will know exactly how to manipulate you, and it will reveal your worst secrets, but it's going to help you.
Yeah.
But no, man, I sent those over to you, and you took them, and then I think we sat down a little bit and talked some more, and talk through that experience a little bit. I want to hear your perspective on kind of what your thought process was with those profiles and all that good
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, my first thought was, this guy crazy. I'm just,
What the answer to that is yeah.
no, I'm just kidding. But it was just unique. I never, I hadn't ever, really it's my first time really going out in the job market and really exploring what was out there, right? But it was also, I'd never been asked to take a personality test, especially from like a work standpoint.
Yeah.
We had to take one in college. That's a different story for different reasons. But anyways, yeah, I thought it was cool. I looking through the social media content and
the film.
going through like your social media content and then doing the personality, I thought it was really cool. These tests are ones I had never done before, and then two is you read through them, it kind of hits you in your soul a little bit. It's like, okay, well, who's in my head, because some of it's like this is what I know, but other things but you don't really practice it, right? So it's like it helped me, as I'm in the kind of seeing these profiles and seeing what my tendencies are,
Yeah.
to just be cognizant of them, right? So I know where my strengths are, my weaknesses are, and just keep building on my weaknesses and my strengths, right? So just trying to put it in
Well
practice. Yeah.
Well said. Yeah, it's weird because you take them and it's like, did Mary have a little lamb? And
Yeah.
you're like, yes.
I think so, right?
I'm kidding. But, like the axiology, it asks you to rank 18 things in order from best to worst.
Yep.
And, kind of put a positive or a negative on it or just, and then all of a sudden it spits out this values assessment and you're like, oh my God.
Right. I know.
It's like, you look at, because I took mine and you read it and you're just like, it looks and it really, it's about self-awareness. Because I think a lot of people run around, they absolutely have no idea. There's just no awareness of what they're doing, their decisions they're making. They don't even see the patterns that they make, whether good or bad.
Yeah.
And so, you and I started talking a little bit more and, as I had stated, we talked a little bit about, have you seen that? That was one of the first design calcs we did around here.
I've heard you mention it.
Don't review it, especially you. But, we start talking about some of the bigger home stuff that we're doing here. We start talking about structural engineering and, as a guy who's been to, really the kind of worked at the pinnacle in a lot of ways in structural engineering. What did you find when you got there, with structural engineering? Obviously very honorable career, but, talk a little bit about, what you found when you got there, whether what you thought it would be versus what it was, et cetera.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of codes with it. First off, right? You go and take your PE test, and which ones are the structural engineers, right? You gotta. I think I had a wagon full of books where you look at some of your other like water wastewater engineers. You got 2 or 3, So
Yeah.
that was the first thing. There's a lot of different codes, and you've got to know and be able to follow, right? You've got concrete, steel, aluminum, wood, all these different materials that you're dealing with in structural design that you've got to know, right?
Yeah.
You never know like what a client's going to want, right? We didn't get into wood as much on the water wastewater stuff, but there were still elements where, you had to do some wood truss design and stuff.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Wood's probably what takes up 80% of the market in building supplies.
Yeah.
And we don't even really study it in engineering.
Yeah. I think there was 1 or 2 problems on the PE test for it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so if that was the first thing. It was like just how in depth that was going to be. So
you didn't realize it was going to be that.
No, I did not realize it was like, I knew you had all these different materials, but just compared to the other disciplines you see in civil engineering, that was one that kind of struck me. I didn't realize just kind of how in depth and, all this different knowledge you needed to know on the structural side, right?
Right.
Just because based on the client's need. And then really the good one thing I've as you're getting involved in larger projects and you're dealing with other disciplines, right? Electrical, HVAC, process mechanical, structural is really kind of the gatekeeper for a good, solid project, right? Because I've got a concrete slab or building, right? All these other disciplines want to run their pipes, conduits, you name it,
Yeah.
through your building, and you've got to take that into account in your design, right? You can't just put a concrete slab there and say it's okay, and then run half your slab's not actually concrete. There's actually all kinds of materials in it, so you got to account for that in your thicknesses. So that's the big thing. You got to stay on top of the other disciplines and making sure you're properly coordinating on projects that they're just not sticking things wherever they want to. So
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of the logistical side.
oh yeah,
And so kind of, as you grew and grew in the organization you were at and stuff, and you see this a lot, but you got to that design lead, whatever it was, and it's never what you think. I tell people this a lot about about sports, college sports all the time. You think that is, and then even those guys and gals who go on to professional sports, you get there and you're like, I was really expecting this to be a lot more.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's great, and it's a great experience. You end up going, well, I wish my coach were this and that, and I was thinking it would be this. And it's just we put these things on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of young professionals do that. Older professionals too. You put this thing on a pedestal, and then when you get there, you're just like, this is not nearly anything that I expected.
Yeah.
Did you find that kind of when you got into that role and you were doing it for a while, in that structural space?
I did, and I think a lot of it really hit me too. I got a family, right? So you start your career, right? You just learn everything you can, and then my goal when I started is I want to be the state structural lead, right? I want to be the state structural lead for the state of Tennessee.
Yeah.
And I really didn't think beyond that. So once I got to that, I was like, well, shoot, I don't know, this is exactly what I want to do, right? So that's when it really started in my head. What else is out there for me?
Yeah.
I like structural engineering, but I also wanted something more. I think one thing, it kind of with COVID as well, where people started working from home more.
Yeah.
And so you have that flexibility, but one thing I've always enjoyed is being around people. Right?
Yeah.
I was in a fraternity in college, and
really,
yeah, we can talk about that later. But
were there any things that happened at UT when you were in this fraternity that
I'll plead the fifth on that, but
pro? He's a pro.
He is.
You have trained him well, sir.
He is. He's been asked that question before, by the way. We'll
Really?
do a deeper dive in another setting.
We should do one after hours version.
Yes.
Anyways, go ahead.
But yeah, so I think that's one thing that was really missing, especially working for a water wastewater firm, and you're the structural guy. You tend to kind of just get pigeonholed as the structural guy, and there's not, maybe there's not a whole lot you can really branch out to, right?
And that's common in any profession.
Exactly. So I think I got to that point where, I was training some of the younger engineers and getting more of a PM role, but I really wanted to have an opportunity to really get more into the business development side, right?
Yeah.
And just getting to meet new people and, kind of be more of a forward face with clients and things like that. And that's something like I said, I feel like I'm pretty good, talking with people and everything. So I just wanted something more than just being that structure. That's kind of when you think you want something, then you get there, you're like, wait, is there more out there? Right.
Yeah.
So that's what really hit me.
Yeah.
That's what I've really enjoyed the opportunity here. Where I'm still getting to do what I know, but I'm also getting to grow in other areas. And especially at a faster pace than I think I would have elsewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, you're a pro, man. You've been doing this a minute. I mean, you've seen similar situations like that. You'll see even yourself or somebody get to a level and they're just kind of like stuck. And we talk a lot about purpose, right? I mean, that's really a game changer for any company, is to be able to give your people purpose.
And totally, and especially in the engineering space, large engineering firms of all sizes, they're notorious in doing what occurred to Zach. That got this highly talented guy that's you're just hitting it out of the ballpark day in and day out, but there you are, you're stuck. And look, Zach wants to know how to run a business. How do you make, how do you define strategy? How do you execute strategy? How do you budget? In young engineers, guess what? Engineers are not taught that, and engineers are incredibly intelligent, but that's a part of the business that typically they're not exposed to
Right.
until later in their career.
Yep.
And it's almost like, hey, you're not allowed to do this. Or guess what? It's part of everyday discussion here, what we're doing and what we're executing.
And it should be. It makes you a better engineer.
Yeah.
I mean, being able to learn those things, and I mean, you don't want to expose too much. You want to bring it on slowly as they develop. But to be able to sit down and explain to a young engineer, hey, this is why this, and this is what, and you're right. A lot of them are just like, hey, this is what you need to do.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So you and I kind of talked a little bit more. Obviously, Clayton came on around the same time. Who started earlier? I forget.
I was, I think, 3 minutes before Zach.
Gotcha. Is he still the FNG?
He is.
Okay.
He is.
Sorry. Freaking new guy. But Clayton doesn't say freaking, just so you know. So, you came in here and started learning a different facet of the business.
That's right.
We got into this. Not only are we doing municipal water, wastewater work, but we're also doing these super high-end homes, lumber. Is lumber complicated, Zach? Are some of these houses a little bit?
It's different. It's different. That's right.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It is. Yeah.
What are some of the ways? I mean, load path-wise, they don't stack. What?
Yeah, I mean, you got different load paths, right? You got to identify your load bearing walls. You design everything from the top down. Whereas water, wastewater, you got a lot more. You get your larger buildings, it's get more complicated, right? Your concrete moment frames, things like that. But a lot of it too is like perfectly rectangular or square structures. So your load paths are pretty easy to follow. But here you got, trusses, stick framing, wherever it's going from the roof down to your load bearing wall. So you're having to track all these different load paths down to your foundation, and it can get pretty complicated, especially with the size houses.
Yeah.
We're doing the different types of ceiling, the different ceiling types, and all
materials too.
Material, exactly right. You start doing wood design, then you get, a client wants to stick a couple steel columns and beams in there just for looks, right? It can definitely get a little complicated. So
yeah, you get into larger window openings and wind shear. You get into expansion contraction issues, and I mean, that's why there is a great market in that.
Yeah.
It's like we've got this new client we're talking with that they're doing 10 to 15 million, even higher homes, and to think that size home's coming into Williams County. I mean, not just one or two here and there, but like you got spec homes going up now that are $2.5 million spec homes.
I know, yeah.
And it's wild to think about it, but it's here, and I think it makes a more well-rounded engineer. Has that, so from a development standpoint, how has that helped with you as just far as an engineer as a whole? I mean,
the residential side, I feel like it's helped a lot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one, I'm learning wood design more than I did previously, right? So I'm adding that strength to my skill set. And I think one thing with residential too is a much faster pace than it is on the municipal side.
Yeah.
Right. We're municipal, typically on larger jobs too, right? You got different, 30, 60, 90, 100% submittal days, clients reviewing it every step of the way. Whereas residential, like, hey, here's a set of architectural plans. Can you get it to me in 2 weeks?
And we've set up the system to do it.
Yeah.
Have you seen that translate into affecting our turnaround time on the municipal?
Yes, I have. And I also think it's especially with communication too, right? I think, residential, you've got to be on top of it. You got to, actively communicate, because if there's a change, they got to know, right? And because, they're not going to be the ones looking for it sometimes. And so you got to let them know. So municipal, I think it's made me just be even more proactive, talking with the clients there, looking at different facets. And, and one thing you've taught me too is like, hey, what does the client want to see?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. So I think with engineers, like, hey, this is what I want to do, right? But it's like, as you're talking with clients, like, hey, what do you want to do actually?
Yeah.
Because we can make it work. But let's just, I think the communication is the big thing.
Absolutely.
That, right. So.
Well, and I think that old school engineering style of this is how it's going to be done.
Yeah.
And you just can't do it anymore because you've got so much information available. your clients, they can go on YouTube. I tell the story all the time. The first shop, we had with Jericho was a drywall patch after doing spec homes, whatever.
Yeah.
But, when we were just trying to survive, I didn't have YouTube. I couldn't go on YouTube and see somebody do a drywall patch. Hey, here's step one. I mean, that's why it looked like somebody had buried a dead body in the ceiling when I got done. But luckily, it's all good. It worked out, Clayton. But, the old way of engineering is this is how it's going to be done. And it has to be, hey, we're on the same team here.
Yeah.
I know you want it this way. But here are some of the reasons why that we probably shouldn't do that. As long as it's ethical and it meets code and it works, and you want to do it, cool.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you on the front end, it's no longer, hey, this is the way it's going to be. That's what, and maybe some firms still do that. They find that what I think it boils down to is when you work as a team with a client, that means you have to be a little bit more flexible.
Yep.
You have to grow a little bit more. You have to get outside your comfort zone a little bit more. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that. I mean, what are your thoughts?
And it's total. I mean, that's when we talk about the civil engineering industry, structural engineering, it's about collaboration. It's about partnering. It's about communication.
Yeah.
And that's what separates, guys my age in the business was the ability to communicate with their peers, with their customers, the general public. And that's the difference. And guess what? That's a core value of ours here at Alliance. And that's why Zach has stepped in as the new guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we
established
that earlier. But his communication skills and understanding that intuitively
and being willing to adopt it too.
And absolutely. And it's so important in this business. I always tell people that the civil engineering industry is like the ultimate people business. You think about it, we're dealing with residents, we're dealing with public officials, we're dealing with municipal officials,
Yep.
we're dealing with all developers, everyone in the world. So we're touching all these pieces of the general public, and to be able to, and guess what, also do what's ethically expected as engineers. That no, we can't do that. We have to meet code, we have to do this. But there's different ways of getting to that place.
Yeah.
And that's the excitement and the challenge of this business.
Well, and frankly speaking too, when you're an engineering firm and let's say you've designed a wastewater plant on a conventional, traditional plant style, and then all of a sudden your client comes to you and says, I want to build it. I want to do an SBR. Well, you don't have those templates in-house, right?
Mm-hmm.
All that legacy hours. So what are you going to try to do with that client? You're going to try to push them towards that conventional, traditional plan because of money. Now, we all need to make a living. You should, that's not the point here. The point here is the engineering firm should be able to build the system that allows them to change and do an SBR if they need to. And that's something I think we've creatively done here and obviously been able to expand upon that base, because of guys like you and Clayton, Jeremy, I mean, all the people, Lou, and I don't want to name all the names, but the people here have bought in, and it all goes around our core values. And I was going to ask you, coming here, what was the biggest attractor? And, what was it that really attracted you that just kind of put it over the edge other than Clayton? Just putting it out there, man.
I mean, I think it was different, right? I could just tell, you first off, you're different than most other engineers, right? It's not good or bad, but I'm just saying it's a little bit different. So I consider that. And then I think the residential side, just get exposed to it, see what that was all about. I'd done a little bit, like I said, with my dad growing up, just kind of being around that some. And I think just wanted to help build something as well, right? I just think there was something really cool to, you already had a great thing going here, just help continue to grow it, bring my skill set and kind of trying to be a part of something, special, right?
Yeah.
Instead of something that was already kind of built, just go in here and let's help build something that I think has got a lot of potential.
Yeah.
So that was really the big things for me, right? And I met some of the people that work here during the interview process, and they all seem like great people to work with, and the culture here seemed great, and also the workout things was cool
I was
with some,
gonna get to that.
yeah, that was something that I do enjoy working out and everything. So that was one thing as well. I thought that was a really neat aspect that, a lot of companies say they want to take care of their employees, but that's what you're actually from a health standpoint you're really focused on that as well. So
Yeah, and I think our whole point on that is it's easier to say, hey man, here's a little extra cash, right? It's a heck of a lot harder to design a complete program
Yeah.
that allows people to have better health, which consequently allows them to make better money because they feel better and they're more productive.
Yeah.
The dictionary defines energy as the propensity to do work, something like that. And when you have better health, you have better energy, you can do more work and you feel better. Your home life and everything's better. And I think that's something that, number one, you've been a part of, and number two, you've really helped pave the way on that. Y'all's team cheats. I made a mistake in putting y'all on the same team, and I'll never do that again. You can't give him unlimited days off. That's cheating. I think there's something about that in the employee handbook, as a matter of fact. But, how have you seen the Vanguard program impact the culture here and even open the door to have conversations about real life decisions with some of the younger guys here? I mean, look, man, you're one of our younger guys here, but you're a leader here. Have you seen that?
I mean, it's really the camaraderie, right? I mean, I think we were in one meeting, and Jeremy, I think, hit the nail on the head, right? He said it made me feel like I was part of a team, right?
Yeah.
Like last quarter, we divided us into.
Was he listening to the podcast?
I think he was.
And but anyway, so that camaraderie you were able to build, right? So we're doing these like last quarter, we're in what was 4 teams of 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we did a couple competitions each month, and yeah, there's a little smack talk there, but every time one of the teams was doing the competition, the other teams were there watching and cheering them on, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of building that camaraderie outside of the workplace,
Trying
right?
to trip somebody.
Yeah, exactly. Clayton did do that, right? So he did that a couple times actually.
He did.
But
We had a guy take a tumble on my team. Did you do that?
It was planted.
Yeah.
It was.
Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, I really just build that team aspect. So I mean, you can sit there, you're doing engineering jobs all day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just it's a different aspect to help kind of build that culture, right? So
Yeah.
not only are we talking about shared experiences, on projects we're working on, but we're also talking about different shared experiences that we're doing at the gym as well, right? The 500-yard sled push. After that, all of us are in here talking about, oh man, how did you guys do? How are you feeling after that, right? So it just kind of gives you a different aspect, and you really, so there's something about seeing adults struggle together that helps build that camaraderie. Right?
It does, and we talk about engineering too. Typically engineering mistakes, issues really boil down to an underlying issue with decision making in general.
Yeah.
And whether it's going that extra mile to run that extra set of calculations, or digging in a little bit deeper on a project to really help make sure you're finding all the angles for a client or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of that comes down to just discipline, sticking to the process, getting outside of your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah.
Like that SBR, conventional wastewater treatment, thing. I mean, getting outside your comfort zone has opened the conversation with some of our younger guys too. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Vanguard program is still early stage. We're right now in the process of mapping out an app for it, so it can be on phones and all that kind of stuff. Have you seen it affect you, man? I mean,
one thing I've always, I wouldn't say struggle with, but it forces me to get up early and get my butt in the gym, right? So I've always told, I was like, I get up at 5 a.m. pretty much every day now, and even the days we aren't doing our group workouts, I still try to get in there, extra day or two each week, and that's the first thing, man. It makes me get my day started earlier than I normally would have, and making sure I have a good healthy diet. Like this starting this year, I've been making smoothies before I go to the gym every day, just to have a little bit of extra burst of energy when I'm there.
Yeah.
And I know we had talked about some different supplements that I'll maybe get into as well.
All natural.
That's right, all natural,
Just so you know.
yeah, nothing illegal. But so that's the big thing, right? And I got more energy. Right? I think it's just getting up early, doing something hard before you start your workday, right? Because you go out there and your team's trying to do a 500-yard sled push. It's a lot harder than sitting there just having a couple.
We don't do that every day, but
when we do it, right? But just to do something hard.
yeah.
So then it just makes it when you get to the office, okay, we just did that. We're doing then having a conversation with a client over something difficult doesn't seem as difficult, right?
Right.
So
what and that's a great point.
Yeah.
Doing something hard every day, whether it's that hard workout, it's the same muscle as having that difficult conversation with a client or somebody in the staff. It's the same muscle. And so that's what, they go into the gym. There's so many things that get tackled.
Yeah.
Going to the gym, doing these workouts, eating right, self-control, discipline, all these things that you can't create that environment in a workplace. It really brings it out. And that's the thing that I love most about it, especially with the younger engineers. So let me ask you this, since you've been here, how have you seen your role change, and really what excites you most about the future?
Well, I think really first coming in, right, just get familiar with the staff, right? Just want to be able to make those relationships. That's one good thing I loved about it. I feel like I could be myself right from the get go. Right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't hard just developing those relationships because first off, the people here we have are great. So that was easy, and
that prompted a conversation where you're like, be yourself, but not that much.
Yeah,
right.
We have a couple conversations
We-
on that, right?
Like, we need you to wear your pants around the office, stuff like that. But sorry, man. Don't worry, they'll edit it out. Will's back there like, no, we will not. Anyways, go ahead. He's not wearing pants right now either, by the way.
Yeah.
I do like the shirt, though.
Appreciate that, man.
They don't call it a poncho for nothing.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, so really just getting familiar with the staff, right? Then really getting familiar with some of the aspects of the structural design that maybe I wasn't exposed to as much, right? Especially the residential and things like that on the wood design side. So that was kind of the first get go. But then it was really learning how to be a leader for a group. Like, we got a great structural team up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, really learn how to lead that department, right? Because like you said, I'm still one of the younger people in the company, but so I have people that I'm leading that are necessarily older than me. So kind of getting used to that aspect, right? And so that was like the first thing.
Did that change your perspective on what leadership really is?
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be the oldest person in the room, right? It's just who's ever kind of built for it.
Yeah,
and everybody's built different ways and built for different things. So, but yeah, that was really the first kind of quarter, was getting really know all the guys, getting to know who I'm working with and kind of what are their goals, what are their aspirations. I want to help. The main thing is, as a leader, you want to help people that you're leading get to where they want to get to, right? So that was the first thing I scheduled meetings with the entire staff to get to know them and ask them what their aspirations were.
Did you figure that out at 33?
No.
Me either. As a matter of fact, you just taught me something.
Actually, you just aged me. I'm 32. So,
well,
when this airs, he'll be 33.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
And then really, I know, Josh, we had some conversations, making sure you're getting a couple of the people that weren't involved in the Vanguard program, and getting them involved, right? And, so we were able to do that as well, had some good conversations with some of the staff, and I think it was last quarter, we had everybody was there at the gym together. That was in office.
They were.
Right? So,
and the way I kind of use the selling point that I have on it is kind of like, and I've said this 100 times, I'm sure, but it's like, going to the beach.
Yeah.
You can't explain the beach to somebody, right? If you've got a engineer who's, our age, late 40s, 50s, and, they've had a belly for the last 20 years, they've forgotten what it felt like to not, to be trim and thin. And it's kind of like, you can't say, there's these, all this beautiful sand and these waves and this white foam, and then there's blue skies. You can't explain it. They have to go to the beach. So how do you get an engineer who's a steady, analytical person, for the most part, who doesn't like to break their routine to go to the beach. You got to do these reward systems just to get them headed in that direction, to where one day, like William, who's dropped 40 pounds, changed his life in a lot of ways, till he gets there. He's like, oh, that's what you're talking about. You can't explain it,
Yeah.
And so the beautiful thing about what we're trying to do is you take a 32-year-old and younger, and you get them in these routines that allow them to, create a culture to where they don't have to go through that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, life's going to hit you. It's going to happen. But that's the beautiful thing about all this, And then when we've got these leaders, in their late 40s and 50s who are stepping up, getting outside of their comfort zone and showing up at the gym, maybe they're not the best in shape. They're not the best athlete. It doesn't matter. They're there.
Yeah.
And they're doing more than, 98% of people on a regular basis. So what excites you most about the future?
Man, I think we're really building something special here. You kind of think about different industries, right? You've got disruptors that come in the marketplace, right? You get when Airbnb came into the vacation rental space, right? Really disrupted that thing. What we're doing here, I think, is different than any other engineering firm is doing, right? I mean, like I said, you get the Vanguard program, you get other aspects that we're building out here, right?
Diligence rewards.
That's what's exciting to me. It's different than anything else I've been a part of in the engineering space, right? And talking with my friends and everything, it's different.
Do most firms do a rewards program every quarter?
No.
I mean, because we have the Diligence and we have the Vanguard. The Vanguard is the fitness side. The Diligence is more of the production design side and the professional growth side. And again, it's just given that reward for quarter to quarter, man. You killed it this quarter. So what would you suggest to an engineer, young professional out there who's looking for more purpose out of their career?
I just have that conversation, right? Don't be scared of something because it's different, right? Because it might be what you're made to do. Right?
Yeah.
That's the one thing. I was sitting there, struggling with anxiety and kind of like this is what I'm gonna be doing for the rest of my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was holding that in, and it was affecting me at work. So when I finally just said it out loud, I was like, I don't think this is what I want to do. I don't want to work here forever, right? And it was so freeing.
Yeah.
And then kind of talking to some of my mentors and everything that I'd been around in the industry, right? At first, they were kind of like, what are you talking about? Then they kind of really started talking about it and they understood where you were coming from, right? Mm-hmm. And so that'd be my advice. Just if you're feeling that way, don't judge a book by its cover, right? Just open your voice, have that conversation and see what's out there. Because there's a lot of special things going on that you don't even know what's out there, right? Some people you feel pressure. I gotta go work for the big firm. I gotta go work, and some people are meant to do that. But if you got something on your heart, that typically it's God tugging at you. Hey, see what's out there. Just put it out there for the world and see what happens.
Absolutely, and I'm very open about my anxiety struggles and dependence on anti-anxiety stuff years ago. And what I've found is anxiety is normal. Mild anxiety is normal. When it gets to the point where it's like almost kind of debilitating, it's because you may have an actual issue there, but usually it's because you're living outside of your integrity. What I mean by that is, you're supposed to be doing something different, but you're not getting up and doing it. And I'll give you a perfect example. There's that chore around the house that you've been putting off. And you just feel anxious. And then you just, I'm going to go knock it out. You knock it out, and all of a sudden you just feel like this weight's lifted off of it. Yeah. Or in your case, man, I've got this great career. I'm working for a really good company, but man, I've got this anxiety. I want to do more, but I don't want to leave this comfortable place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Listen, man, we all feel that way. A little bit of anxiety is healthy. That's what the good Lord gave us to get us up off the couch. Right? But when it gets debilitating, it gets to where it's like you can't sleep or it's because you're outside of your integrity, and you've got to figure out what that thing is and have just an ounce of courage to just say, you know what, life's too short and I don't want to be 70. Then look back going, you've drank yourself to death, or you've drugged yourself to death, or eaten yourself to death to try to cope with that anxiety. And I think a lot of people are dealing with it, especially at the younger ages. You were talking about a few men the other day at church that you saw that were dealing with it.
Yep. No, and it's this conversation, guess what, in the workplace, and if people feel, and guess what, they get bottlenecked, and you know, a lot of engineering firms are sweat factories.
Yeah.
It's about how much can you bill, how much are you billing your clients, and guess what, that only lasts so long. And you know, companies have got to have our strategy. We're in it for the long haul, and we're going to develop our people. We're going to take care of our people. We want our people to be healthy. And when you start with that vision, it's a different culture. It's a different deal. And understanding that, you know, you walk around our office and guess what? People are healthy. They feel good. And guess what? You got to take care of some personal business, take care of it. But guess what? We get our work done too, and we take care of our clients.
Yeah.
And all the big companies talk about all this is, but guess what? They're all sweatshops. And I've seen it. I've recruited people from there, those places, and we know it. And how do they raise their stock price? They do more with less, and that means, hey, instead of billing 30 or 40 hours this week, I need you to bill 45 or 50 hours.
Yeah. Without added incentives.
That's exactly right.
And, you know, look, you have to have money for the mission. You have to. Yeah. You know, it's not a nonprofit. You have to have money for the mission. But on the flip side of it, if you'll stop focusing on the money and focus on the people and the development of the people and working on their character and working on their integrity and helping them have a better, healthier life, then the money happens. As long as you're being a good steward and being good with it, it's not simple. It's easy, because when we built Jericho, that's what we were focused on, because dude, we were freaking broke. I mean, we almost lost everything in the recession. So yeah, money was important, but we rebuilt it and everything was money. Push, push, push. And nobody developed, and including myself, I regressed. But now it's a different perspective, and it's so much more fulfilling. So, dude, we're thankful for you and all that you're providing here. We're very excited about your future. He's still 50-50 on it. I'm like, dude, you got this. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate
And so you come a long way, man. And just in the short period you've been here, and he and I both, I mean, we're all very excited to see where you take all this, man. So
I appreciate that. I'm thankful for you guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, but no more errors, man.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we can't have any more math errors.
And just make sure Zach and I are in the same team going forward for
No,
Vanguard.
no.
Yeah,
That's
we
actually
got
gone
each
into
other.
our core values now. Excellence in all we do. Zach and Clayton will not be on the same Vanguard team. It's a 6 bullet point. Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks,
no problem.
Zach.
Appreciate it.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.